Fly chick coming through. Nice to meet you. Glad you came too. Like you said, when you know you got moves. You spit game and you know you spit.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Fastlane Collective. I'm your host, Brianna, and I am bringing you a special episode. For this episode, we are interviewing and here with the lovely Alba from It's Rouge. Alba, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Brianna. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you all, the people who
Yeah.
hear this podcast.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here because I have been a fan of your content. If you guys haven't seen Alba's content, which it's hard to believe if you haven't because it's so amazing and beautiful and awesome. But you can find her on social at It's Rouge. That's ITSOHROUGE. Her content is so beautiful and amazing, and I've been following it for so long, and it's this perfect cross section of sports, Formula One, and kind of pop culture and fashion. And I can't wait to get into that with you. But that's kind of how we met, which is really, really cool. Social media is amazing because you're all the way in Milan, Italy, correct?
Yes, I am here. Although I am not Italian, this is something that people tend to, mess up. They don't know which is where I'm from. I'm Spanish, I'm Italian, I'm somewhere in the UK, although my accent, I think, reveals that I'm not English. But yeah, I was born in Spain, specifically in Madrid, and then I moved to the north because it's where my family is. So the place is called La Coruña, and it's just right above Portugal, hence my two difficult to pronounce surnames. Yeah. And then when I started my master's in 2019, I moved to Milan, and here I am after 6.5 years, which is incredible because it doesn't seem as much. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed that we didn't connect and meet before because I was telling you I was in Milan in November. I could have met in person, which would have been so amazing.
Yeah, also I
But
love to be a guide, so
yeah.
whoever wants to wants a guide in Milan, people say I'm a very cool host and guide, so just let me know if you have any requests.
Love it. It's Eau Rouge also has a tour guide segment to it, which
My
is awesome.
business.
Yeah. So being from, obviously, like you said, you're from Spain, you're Spanish, that's where you came from, but then you moved to Italy. We got to get into who are your favorite F1 drivers, F1 teams, and did that move influence your fandom?
Oh, geez. This is also the second question that I have difficulties to answer because, well, firstly, I am a Carlando fan, so I cannot just, move away from it. I love them both, especially from their McLaren teammate era, because also was the time where I was more or less, I think we were more or less exited from COVID. So I was here in Milan, very far from my family, so I had plenty of time to watch Drive to Survive. And although I got into Formula One many years before Drive to Survive, I had an impasse where I didn't watch it as much. When with the Hamilton domination, also in Spain, it moved from the public TV to paid broadcasting. So also my dad stopped seeing it.
Yeah.
So I had this kind of a few years where I didn't watch the sport, and then I got into it again thanks to DTS. And I just, Carlos is already Spanish, so for me it's just like a natural bond.
Right.
And with Lando, I just love his character, how he speaks about mental health, especially during this year that he's a championship contender and people are criticizing much. So I love to see him win and to bring, a different perspective on how can a driver be in terms of mentality, in terms of how he sets his mindset. So this pair is my favorite one. Although I have to say I consider myself a fan of the sport in general. So my main goal is also always enjoy, have fun, create a discussion without any, mean to if you support this driver, you cannot support this one. I'm pretty open. I also love Fernando, which is mainly the driver who brought me into the sport, and it's so nice to have him still in the driver's
Yeah.
lineup. And Ferrari, of course, plays a big part since I moved here, because also the second thing that happened here in Milan is that I discovered the Ferrari religion that is very, very present here in Italy. So when I started, rewatching the sport and coming back to it, all my friends were like crazy Ferrari fans. They are crazy Ferrari fans. And it was very, very nice to see how they don't support a driver, because also being in Spanish, we have seen Alonso go from this team to the other, also Carlos
Mhm.
a lot. Um, they are so stick with the team. Like they do not care. Their main sentence is, "We do not care if it's Hamilton, if it's Leclerc, if it's Vettel back in the days. We just want to have the red car."
Yeah.
So they are so into the Ferrari, world heritage, which was amazing to see and discover.
Yeah. Yeah, I can speak from experience as well, like going to Italy and specifically like Milan and Maranello, like I could not believe when I saw it with my own eyes. Like it
Yeah,
really is a religion. Like you can, it was so funny. The moment we stepped into Maranello, we were driving down the streets and everyone I saw was in Ferrari red.
yeah,
Like there was a man taking out his trash, but he was in a Ferrari jacket. Like
yes,
it was,
yeah.
it was
I can
amazing.
I can say the same thing. They are like, for me, it's like true passion and true fandom. I think the Ferrari fans created the the concept of fandom because they are like truly committed to it. And when I went also to Maranello, where my friends were asking like, how is it? Yeah, explain to us. And I was like, it's like Disneyland, but for Ferrari.
Yes.
Well, it seems like a theme park, but it's not a theme park. It's just like all the city moves around the fabric, the Ferrari world. It's
Yeah.
amazing. All the restaurants have Ferrari related names, the streets. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it really is amazing to see. And I'm sure it's really cool to like be there in Milan and like live that day in and day out and see and experience Formula One from kind of this different side where it's
Yeah,
not just a sport, it's a part of everyday life. And that has to be really, really cool and amazing. And I'm sure like maybe you start to cheer for Ferrari. I mean, it kind of worked out when Carlos was with Ferrari because
yeah,
then
yeah. That was perfect. And last year
yeah,
I was like, damn. Now I have to
what am
check.
I gonna do?
Because also
Amazing.
here, when I say no, I am a McLaren fan, because also London is there, and they are like, okay, if you want to be a McLaren fan, but then they judge, you can see that they are judging you.
Right, exactly. They definitely don't shy away from letting you know how they feel, which
Exactly.
I also appreciate and love being an American. So, but you said and you mentioned that you were a fan younger, and you mentioned kind of your dad playing a role in that.
Mhm.
How did you originally get into Formula One? Was it at a very young age through your dad, or was it kind of ingrained in your family?
I think the first memories I have are around when I was 6, 7 years old, which I think it matches when Alonso more or less was at his peak, when he was,
Hmm.
in the championship. And I have this clear memory of, having spending Sundays with my dad, which is he's like a full sports fan. Like whichever sports he wants to watch, he is going to be, yeah, let's watch this and let's watch that. And it was the same with tennis. So I have these clear memories of either watching Alonso on his Renault, and lately Rafa Nadal. So, our weekends
Yeah.
were very sports themed. Also MotoGP. So he's a full motorsport and sports fan. And I am glad that he brought me into it, not only to Formula One, but to the sports, world, because
Hmm.
it has played a big part in my life, not only on watching sports but also on being an active player, because I played I swim, and I played water polo for a pretty long time of when I was younger.
Wow, very
Yeah,
cool.
I also right now I like to go for a run, so I really appreciate sports in a 360 way. And yeah, he brought me into it, and I had also the chance, because I am an only child, being a girl. He didn't, let me out of it, but he explained and really got me into the sport. So I grew up not only watching but learning about Formula One, learning about tennis. So I was not just with him there. He was like
Mhm.
explaining, this guy has to do that. This is a pit stop. This, in the case of tennis, this is, set, match, game, all
Yeah.
the. So, and then I remember we had a PlayStation. So we also played. We didn't have Formula One, but we had like a rally game, which I love to play with him. We have the Olympics. We had the tennis game. So the relationship with my dad is all about sports, and it plays a big role also in the relationship I have with him. So it's a pretty. It has created a pretty good memories for me.
That's amazing. And here, actually, when we're recording this, it is Father's Day in the United States
Ah,
today. So big shout out to Alba's dad and all the dads out there that are getting all their girls into motorsport and introducing them. I really think that's really cool. I hear a lot of similar stories with other women about how like that's how they were brought into motorsport. And I really love that because those are the dads out there that were like, you know what, just because you're a girl doesn't mean you can't be into motorsports
yeah,
or all these other things too. And a lot of the times when we look back, it's like our dads we have to thank for
yeah,
opening that door and also like allowing us to walk through it and not putting us in these boxes of because you're a girl.
exactly.
Um yeah, which I love. So perfect
Also, his
timing.
name is Fernando, so it was pretty good and pretty well associated to Formula One.
Yeah, yeah. And here in the United States too, I feel like motorsports in like Europe and just other countries, it's a little bit more ingrained into like your like culture or a part of your country's identity. Where here, like the biggest sport is our football, not to be
Yes.
confused with soccer. Sorry, all the Europeans that are cringing at me saying that. But yeah, like it's and even that it doesn't have to do with our country. It has to do with your state usually or city.
Ah, perfect.
Because we have so many of those teams and they're usually state centric. So we don't really have like a sport that's besides the Olympics, obviously, that is kind of like just centered around supporting the US. So I think it's really cool to see how just like other sports have become so like part of other cultures, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
guys are really good on welcoming new things, which for us European is a little bit more difficult
you have
because
a little bit more tradition than us.
yes, and sometimes I struggle with that because I feel like since I am very into marketing and I study marketing, and I have this American side of me, which I appreciate when when they started to do Las Vegas or Miami. I was
Mm.
like, great, let's see how it goes. And here they were like, no, absolutely no, we don't want to see that. I remember like in the championship football finals here. I remember my friends saying, "Why do they have to sing before the match?" And I was like, "But what is the problem?" I kind of like your perspective on how you bring culture to sports and the show, because then if you are here in Europe, they always said, "No, I love NBA," and I was like, "And there is no show there on how they play and how they build up the game." So it's like just the same, but here in Europe, I sometimes get a bit crazy because they are super convinced that if we have done this in the same way for 20 years, we have to keep it like that. And then you have Liberty Media, which has for good or for bad transformed the world Formula One, the whole sports.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all you Americans are good at that, so
Yeah, we're good at making things into things that bring us money.
Yeah, exactly. And making things like huge, from a very little. We are like, no, no, it's just, a race. And you like
Yeah.
put the music and cool things around it. So I think, yeah, it's great.
Very different. Yeah, it is really cool to see how other cultures just embrace sport and also operate around it. And it is so different. And you're right, like Europe just has obviously you guys have been around way longer than we have. Like for instance, I'm in Boston and obviously this is where a lot of American history happened. This is where
Mhm.
a huge part of America was born. And right now we're only celebrating like our 250th anniversary this year on basically the and I'm just like, only 250 years. Like, I went to Europe and saw buildings that were like 10 times older.
Especially in Italy, if you go to
Yeah,
Rome. It's like,
exactly. Hundreds of thousands times older. So I understand why tradition may be a little bit more steeped in the culture
yeah,
there.
we have to
But
open a bit our minds too, you know.
yeah, very true. Very true. There's a place for tradition and there's a place for growth.
Exactly. We have
That is
to
for sure.
50-50 perspective. I think it will be nice.
Right. So you mentioned you're in like what you do now, you're in marketing, you're in
Mhm.
advertising, and you're in the fashion world. Can you tell us a
Yes.
little bit about what you do now for your day to day?
Yeah, right now I work full time because sometimes I also get asked if my profile is my full time job. Unfortunately, no, because I will not dedicate much more time to it. But I work in a company which is like a mix of a fashion tech company because we have a lot of, the marketing side, and then we have also a lot of tech, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
And we manage luxury brand partnership from the fashion world, especially Italian brands, but also in a worldwide level. So in my daily basis, I manage 4 to 5 people team. Shout out to my team, which I I love them. And yeah, we try to bring the most of the possibilities that our clients can get through communication, e-commerce, all the digital assets that they have available. So we try to make the best of the strategy to make them do more, get more money.
Yeah.
So,
It is a business after all.
yeah, exactly. It has been a tough. The last year has been tough because we have, the fashion industry, especially luxury, is not in the best place right now.
Mhm.
When I arrived to Milan, it was a better, landscape. When I arrived before COVID, I think it wasn't like in the 90s where they have loads of budgets and they do great campaigns. But yeah, right now we are kind of struggling. But
Mhm.
it's a very interesting world. I always like to be honest with this, but it's also a very tough one, in
Yeah.
terms of mood. I don't know if it's Milan. I cannot speak for Paris or, other big cities that have also a fashion DNA, but in Milan is a difficult industry. You have to, have a good character, a strong mindset because it's a very competitive sector, and if you want to be on it and grow on it, you have to, build your career a bit on your own because it's not like in sports, so maybe it's more like community based and everything. It's tough, but it's a very creative sector, and yeah, I also work for the beauty industry for 3.5 years. And the beauty industry, let me tell you, is much more dynamic, much more open to also to new things because fashion is again a very traditional world, especially for
Mhm.
in luxury.
Yes, yeah.
Very stick to all their processes or all the things that they have done until now. So, for example, we are always based from the two main collection and then the two extras and men's fashion week, women's fashion week. We are always following the processes. I think we are reaching a point where they are understanding that they have to, get out of it and bring something more. And that's why
Yeah.
we see that many brands, latest example, we see Louis Vuitton with Formula One or also
Mm.
New Balance with Coco Gauff in tennis, a partnership with Miu Miu. I
Yeah.
think they are getting into a place where they know that they have to, mix things up because we are reaching a point where there was nothing else to get done. Whereas when I was in the beauty industry, I started in Estee Lauder more or less when I finished my master's as an intern, and I left as an executive, and I worked for doing more or less the same I do here, but directly with the brands for MAC Cosmetics, Bobbi Brown, Smashbox, and Estee Lauder and La Mer. So I
Yeah.
saw of more like a mass prestige beauty brand and a luxury one, and there you can see the split or how dynamic they are and how traditional they can get, because the less luxury they tend to experiment more. In Mac I saw very cool things regarding strategy, and I also think that it's a brand that could have its space in motorsports, but let's see.
Hmm.
Have elements that is getting into the Aston Martin garage.
Yeah.
We'd love to see more of the beauty brands, because I think the mindset that they have in the beauty industry, also Charlotte Tilbury with the F1 Academy,
Yep.
um, is much more proactive than fashion. But I am here to discover who wants to enter the F1 world, because right now it seems like the place where everyone wants to be. So I think they
Yeah.
are trying to go.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting describing kind of the fashion world, the luxury fashion world, and how there's still a lot of steep tradition and some fear in straying away from that. I think we can also see that with Formula One, but maybe years back. Like Formula One is almost you could argue it's a luxury brand in itself.
Yeah.
That it has this steeped tradition. There's
Mhm.
some things that are hard to let go of and some things that need to be changed and innovated. And I think we've seen Formula One do a great job of kind of taking hold of that change and innovating and still keeping that tradition in certain ways, but making it a little different for the new fan base that's currently and has been coming in at a very quick rate.
Mhm.
So it's interesting to hear you say that about the luxury world and how we can see that also in Formula One. But I think this is like the perfect segue into
Mhm.
kind of the content that you create for F1 fans and also for other sports fans, like in tennis. Like you said, you have a big interest in tennis, and you just put out a piece of content recently about that, which I loved. But your content is so cool because you really take a look at how fashion and different industries, even like beauty and whatnot, are coming in and interacting with these sports like Formula One. Where did you start? And that's kind of how like your brand of It's Eau Rouge came, I believe, came to be. How did that kind of aha light bulb moment come on for you? And when did you kind of start your journey with creating It's Eau Rouge?
It's difficult to answer because I think I never had like a moment where I knew, because also I started with another name, which if
Ah.
my followers will hear this podcast, the profile was called Out of the Box F1,
Mm.
because I was checking before, and yesterday I marked 2 years from my first
Ah,
post. So I was like,
amazing.
happy birthday.
2 year
Uh,
anniversary podcast episode.
exactly. um, and yeah, I started more or less for fun,
Hmm.
without any, goals, because my job today is very, very business oriented. So I do not
Hmm.
have many creative parts where I can do, graphic design or art direction. I have just one client where we can, do shootings, participate to the catwalks and runways. But overall, is very into the strategy and more or numbers oriented.
Yeah.
So I was kind of missing my creative side. And
Mm.
I was, always speaking about F1, always trying to create something. And at some point, I say, you know what, I'm going to just put this out, but just for my pleasure.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I started, having people that liked my work. They were only designs. I wasn't speaking about anything. I
Mm.
wrote a couple of articles on Medium, and I just tried to find my path. because at first what I was writing, it was merely race results. So
Mm.
I was writing race results for C Medium. Then I partnered with an Italian digital news profile, also a Spanish digital newspaper, and I
Mm.
started, write about the pure sport,
Yeah.
which helped me to understand the full picture, although I knew the rules and everything, but I was very, in this year, more or less, where I was writing about that, I had the chance to understand all the aspects from the sport. But I reached a point where I was like, I am not enjoying this as I
Mm.
should. So I try to find my voice in terms of, like, I like to write, I like to design. I'm a very polyphacetic person. And how can I, try to bring my perspective to this profile? I was thinking about changing the name for a very long time because, I put it out there and I was like, it wasn't that I didn't like it, but I wanted, something that defines me more.
Yeah.
Uh, so at some point last year, I said I wanted to do a rebranding. So from the end of last summer to even I work on it on October, November, December mostly,
Mm.
because rebranding myself, let me. It's a
It's
difficult
so hard.
part because I was like, one thing, no, hate it. One thing, no, it's crap. And people around me was like, no, it's so cool. And I was like, no, I just need to find whatever. And at some point, I had to tell myself, okay, stop.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just, push it out there and see if the the day I was, I think it was mid-January where I totally changed the name of the profile and the look and feel and everything because I do like a full rebranding. I wanted to get serious with the project. And I
Yeah.
remember when I pushed live, I was like, okay, live. Everyone was loving it. My one and only hater was
It was you.
myself. So I was
Trust
like,
me,
yeah,
I understand more than most. It's probably why I have avoided for 6 years
yeah,
about like when it comes to rebranding for like work purposes. I've been
yeah,
avoiding it like the plague because it's really difficult to
yeah,
create something for yourself.
yeah. But it was a very interesting process, and when I was coming to the very end, I was even having fun with it because at some point I told myself, okay, just, try to get all the things that you like. So at some point, I had this mood board with
Mm.
Taylor Swift, Harry Styles, all my pop thing, music. But also, I'm a fangirl also of street style, rap culture, hip hop culture. So I have all these things messed up with all my
Yeah.
favorite colors, my passion also for the fashion and beauty industry because I wanted a very editorial look and feel.
Hmm.
I choose red because Ferrari brought, this passion on me again, but I also wear a lot of red lipstick. So, at some point I was enjoying because I learned a lot about things about myself that they were always there and I have never paid attention to. So at some point, I just brought it out and I started, to creating the content that I wanted to create. Although I think content creation is a really dynamic and sometimes uncertain path because you have to, try and see. Sometimes I do things that I watch it now and I was like, oh my god. What were you thinking? But
Yeah.
overall, I think it's good. I saw an interview of Tyler, the creator, that was like, I create every like do not have any filters, and I think it's the right way to do it because then you can try and optimize what you have done and see what people want and see what people doesn't. For example, this thing with tennis I tried last week because I have been hearing in my DMs many requests of, no, you can also speak about tennis. And at some point I said, okay, since I have also a Spanish and Italian player, which I also support more Carlos than Yannick, but also Yannick, it's one of my favorites.
Mm.
Uh, mm, I said, let's try to see how people react, if they like it, if they hate it, but with a very, careless way of putting things out and putting ideas out, just to
Yeah.
see. And then,
Yeah.
for example, this kind of post brought me a lot of subscribers to my newsletter on Substack. Is yeah, is working very good. So you never know. At first, I was like, nah, they're going to hate it because they just like Formula One. And then you learn to understand that people are also very, they are there because they like your content or your personality or the things you like to put out. And most of all, if you put it with passion, it has like a reward 100%.
Yeah.
I see, because we all have those days when put out a post that is, you do it because you have maybe to post, which is something I avoid, because I know um, my content is not, I always say that it's not algorithm friendly, because I
Mm.
do not follow the algorithm. If the algorithm says you have to do reels not more than 5 seconds and do a dance, I'm not going to do that. So I try to, put out the things that I care of, with quality over quantity, and sometimes that I felt the need, you have to post, you have to do things, because if you don't post every day, you are going to, get
Hmm.
um, one follower every year. At some point I said, you know what, that's fine. That's fine, because I
Right.
don't know to get burned out because of the expectation of a social media that now is like this. Tomorrow we see that they change the algorithm like every 2 hours,
Yeah.
and tomorrow maybe we will move, I don't know, to Substack, or we go back to the blogging world, or now YouTube is a big thing. So um, I think since I did the rebranding, I try to focus on what I want to tell and how I want to tell in my way, without paying attention of how are other creators doing. I think there are great creators out there and that I follow and I love, but they do not do my type of content. Maybe they do a type of content which is great.
Hmm.
It's more oriented to what Instagram or TikTok works,
Yeah.
but I think you have to find your space. For example, TikTok, I decided that I didn't want it to use it because I couldn't find my space there, so
Mm.
I uh, put a video when I do it for Instagram now and then, but I chose my platforms and my way of communicating, and that's how I am trying to do things now.
Yeah, and I think your authenticity and your passion really comes through. I think something that attracted me to your content was I could tell that it was so thoughtfully curated.
Mm.
And as somebody who just like and I'm sure you can relate to this as well, being like a graphic designer, art director, you feel like you have to curate like everything you ever put out because people are gonna be like, wait, she's an art director or a graphic designer, that looks horrible. Like so I think there's like this pressure, but to see you be able to marry like your loves for sport and for fashion, and for marketing and advertising, and bring them together in such an organic way was really, really cool. And honestly, content that I was missing in my feed. I think a lot of the F1 content specifically now has like TikTok has obviously really taken that to another level, and it's a lot of like pop culture. But
Mhm.
also as an advertiser marketer, like I see things like the Louis Vuitton coming in this year. I was like over analyzing that partnership in my head, and the little things that Louis Vuitton has slowly been doing to integrate themselves into the sport with the trophy cases and things like that,
Yeah.
to make it just this effortless, and not just like slapping a logo on something.
Yeah.
Um, so when I saw your content, I was like, oh, this is what I've been missing in my life. Can you tell for those of our listeners or even viewers, since it's on YouTube too, um, like how you kind of take F1 and fashion and kind of bring it together in your content for those who haven't checked out your page yet?
Well, I think for me it happens in a very organic way in my head because
Mm-hmm.
I put like a meme the other week, like I don't know if I'm very bad at sleeping or very, 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 very good at thinking, which is the definition of me. Because I am like, when you go to bed and you're like watching the ceiling, and you're like, oh, maybe Louis Vuitton, how about if they do, and I start
Yeah.
thinking about everything.
I'm laughing so hard because the amount of times that even at work I'll be like, I was actually in the shower when I thought of this idea.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've laid in bed and like gone over content or
Yeah,
things like
or
that.
when
That's
they
why I'm
put out,
laughing so hard.
or when they put out something that you thought about, casually when you were drinking coffee there at the office, and I was like, I thought about this. You should pay me.
Right. I
I
came up with
didn't
this
say it,
first.
but believe me, it was my idea as well.
Yeah.
So for me, it happens in a very natural way. I try whenever I think about something, I try to write it down, and
Mm.
then I develop all my pieces of content. If I see something that is deep, which I'm a deep person, I like to talk a lot. That's why I'm also working on bringing my podcast again to life because it will be a
Yeah.
very, very good place, to talk and talk and talk. And whoever wants to listen, they can listen to me for an hour. But also, when I go deep, I tend to put it into a full piece for the newsletter, which is where I found an audience that is more eager to read things or get more deep into a concept that then I
Mm-hmm.
can also transform into a more fresh content post. Or a more digestible content that in social media which works better. But in terms of concept and idea, I have this very, very messy notebook, and my iPhone notes are like I don't want. If I let you see, it's like the messiest thing. But I try to, whenever I think about anything, like, oh, I need to talk about this, or I have this idea, or I'm bringing this new section to the profile, which I will be calling it the brief, because it's like some kind of briefing that I do to myself, like, oh,
Yeah.
this could do this kind of partnership, or this fashion house should do this with I don't know, whichever person in the sport. So I try to write everything down, and then try to select what I want to put. Sometimes I have too many ideas and that I get burned out of myself.
Yeah. That's amazing. You're creating your own creative briefs for brands that you don't even work for, which
Yeah.
I love because the amount of times that I could just relate to you on so many levels on that. Like the amount of times I've seen things and been like, "Ah, why didn't they do that? That's a no-brainer." Like it's right there, guys. Like,
Yeah, and then I think for me it's the most rewarding piece of content when I put down like the post I did with for Barilla,
mhm.
because I saw the content, and Barilla is a brand that here in Italy is so popular, but I know that even out of Italy it's not like so renowned. So I knew that they were going to do something traditional, because here each time they have to, sponsor the Olympics or whatever, it's a very traditional brand. And I was like, I just need to say my word on this. And when people comment and say, no, we like it, we love it, they should do this, it sparks a very cool conversation around it. When I do other art direction, because I know people also like my posters when I do, the Sunday race poster.
Mhm.
But that is something that I honestly do very quick, because I tend to, I spend a lot of my time on Pinterest, so I tend to find references, or I do my mood boards, and then the Sunday poster I do it very quickly. The things about fashion, I like to do it with more research and with more
Mm.
fundamentals on it, because it's a concept that, as you were saying, I don't think is well exploited in the social media landscape. I think especially for women, no, I think I started creating also the fashion content because also I was missing that kind of information
Yeah.
or that kind of discussion. And I see a very curious thing on my profile is that some people think that 100% or 90% are women, but I have 60-40 of male and female. And
Wow.
we have the good male side because I always say that my male followers are great. And I asked them, in a question box one day, like, which is the thing that you like more about this profile? Because
Yeah.
I was genuinely interested on their opinion. And many of them also told me, no, the fashion intersection that you put out with the sports, because we never get to see that. So even in a
Yes.
male perspective, this kind of content was missing. So yeah, I try to, any insight that I try to catch and I see that it's different and it's not out there. I try to explain it with simple words, simple content, visually curated pieces, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Easy, digestible.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah. What's probably your favorite part for you when it comes to creating this content? I know you kind of mentioned obviously it was something that you were looking for and missing in this space, but what is your favorite part of getting to do this?
It depends on the piece because when I'm writing, the process is different. I try to do my research because I always say that I hate when people speak about something they do not have seen or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
put the example of Drive to Survive. No, there were a lot of people here in Italy, mainly male Ferrari fan friends, were like, "No, I'm not going to watch it because it's crap." And I was like, how do you know? Like,
Mm-hmm.
my mindset, this is not allowed. For me personally, I know that then
Yeah.
everyone has their own opinion, but I try to, get to know everything before putting my opinion or my point of view out. So there is a research process when before I do the newsletter, and then I tend to write. But when I write my newsletter, I really have fun writing, the final piece. Mainly because I write it in broken English, as I said, because I do not write it either in Spanish or Italian. I just start writing in English. I do not care. I, destroy your language. And then, of course, I have to thank AI nowadays because
Yeah.
I can afford a lot of my time. Although then I have to correct ChatGPT
Eh,
again.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, hey, the translation is for ChatGPT and Google Translate to do, right?
Yeah, in this case, it's just correcting my broken English,
Hmm.
but sometimes they get too creative, so I just have to tell them do not change the words. I go back to it. So because I also with AI, I try to do person ChatGPT person or person AI whatever tool person.
Yeah.
So it's a fun part of writing. It's very cool when you are I try to do my scheme and then I write and then I come back for the content pieces. My favorite part is creating the concept. Even when I do the Sunday race poster, I think it's a reflection of how I was interacting with content and other things during the week. Music is a big
Mm.
influence on me, on how I produce content. Sometimes I even get ideas on how I have to write or which topic I want to put out, and how I want to visually convey the idea with music. I spend all my life in Spotify listening to music. And I'm very open to all kind of music, so I think I'm very influenced by music. And then I try to consume a lot of visual content. I always say that I spend more time on Pinterest than on Instagram. So I try to, I am like a sponge, and then I like to see what other people do, even in the little things, no, because many times people ask me, how do you get inspiration? It could be, I don't know, the color of an outfit that you saw on the street on Monday where I was working I don't know, in a shooting, or while I
Yeah.
was commuting to the office, or, a detail on the color, on the nail color of the girl, any inspiration for me.
Hmm.
So I try to, absorb, and then I try to consume a lot of visuals. Sometimes when I get bored, I have a passion of seeing all commercials, especially Nike ones, because I think they are
Oh,
the best. And
so good.
I get back to it, and I see, oh, here they use, black and white. So then I found myself using black and white on purpose, or sometimes I think there are things that remain there in the back of your mind, and then when you are trying to get creative, they bring it out. And I also say always, which is something I try to force myself to do, because nowadays with TikTok and everything is difficult.
Hmm.
Get bored. Get
Yeah.
bored at that point that you are like, I don't know what to do, because there is where I found my click, and when I found
Mm.
after that period where I just want to, kill myself. I d- like, oh, and I'm on the job like this. Then the next day I am really fresh of ideas,
Mm.
and sometimes you also have to let your mind sleep and let your ideas sleep for a bit, and then you come back
Yeah.
to it. So
Yeah.
it's like a mix of a lot of things.
I love that. That's such a good point from a creative aspect. Sometimes you need to be creative in other ways, or just like you said, like for instance, like as a graphic designer, I work a lot on the computer. I stare a lot at the screen, and I
Yeah,
found this year that like engaging in other ways of being creative, whether that's
exactly.
creating content and like planning out a video, or like painting. I've recently like picked up paint again, which I haven't done since high school, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I have this anymore. Surprisingly, it's still there. I don't know if I'd call it good, but it's still there. But like being creative in other ways, and even letting your mind rest and be bored,
Mhm.
is so important. And I think too, as an F1 fan, that's obviously difficult because if it's a race weekend,
Yeah.
you're pretty busy from
Yeah.
Thursday onward. But yeah, I think that's such a great point. And I love how you're able to just like take in the sport and enjoy the sport in a different way and express yourself as a fan in a different way,
Yeah.
which is really, really, really cool. I guess like to kind of wrap up our conversation here, or start to bring us to a close, I have to ask you, obviously you brought it up, F1 Academy. When F1
Mhm.
Academy came out, oh my God, I had the same reaction of like, oh, all the partnerships I thought would be perfect to come into Formula One F1 Academy. It was just like spinning around in my mind. Obviously, Charlotte Tilbury was kind of the first one to really come out guns a blazing and really be like, we're supporting F1 Academy. If
Mhm.
you had a brand that currently isn't sponsoring an F1 Academy team, who would you like to see? What brand would you like to see sponsor F1 Academy or be involved?
Mm, I think for a personal side, as I said, seeing MAC or even any other beauty brand that I manage, I think the fit is is perfect, because when I was there, MAC was they call it the official makeup brand from the runways. So I would
Mm-hmm.
love to MAC being the official makeup brand from the F1 Academy, or from the paddock. It would be like so cool as a concept. One big brand that I have always wanted to see, not only in F1 Academy, I have to be honest, also in Formula One or even motorsport, is Nike. Nike
Yeah.
is one of my favorite all-time brands. I know that right now it's not the most popular one. Adidas is, on its peak of thanks also to the originals line and everything. But I think they will come back, and the storytelling around the sports figures, even if it's male or female, but now they are working a lot on like women. I would love to see how they create for a space that I think is very conquered, But I think sometimes brands do not maximize their communication or the ways that they can create content or they can build around, the space. I think right now they are all trying to, get in and try to do things,
Yeah.
whatever. But they try. I think there is like the next step is to create value and to create a content that has a purpose, a content that is relatable, without having to be like less qualitative. So I would like to see how they put out, because I think it, for me Adidas was a big point of reference when they told that they'd be taking part on F1, and they do also things with Dorian Penn. But I haven't seen what I was expecting, at least until now. For example, for Miami, I was a bit, they could improve.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, so I think they are still missing some opportunities, especially sports brand. I think Puma is, trying to, work more with creators and do a different strategy. But in terms of visuals, in terms of tone of voice, I think there's still much to do. And I will also, any fashion brand that wants to enter. If I have to say my favorites, I love Loewe, which is a Spanish fashion brand, fashion
Yeah.
luxury. But also one of my favorites is Prada or Miu Miu. I think seeing one of those also with their founder, which is one of the few women that we have now as a creative director in fashion, which is still Miuccia Prada, which is one of my biggest reference in on everything and across any perspective of my life. I think it would be cool to see something, because again, Louis Vuitton has entered, but I think we haven't seen much. I think there is still potential, but seeing, what a visionary brand like Prada or like Miu Miu could bring to motorsport, I think will be really cool.
Yeah, I agree with all that you said in there. Obviously, like Prada being an Italian born
Mm-mm.
brand, like the connection is right there.
Yeah.
The connection is there. And also, like, I'm a huge Louis Vuitton fan. I wish I wasn't, because it would really help my bank account. But like yeah, I would say they've done some good stuff with like some partnerships, and I really do love how they kind of took their logo and made it fit this space a bit more, instead of just, calling it a day and slapping their logo everywhere. But yeah, I think like there's more to be done. I agree with you. A lot of brands are just trying to get in. For
Mm-mm.
instance, over here in the United States, we have Target, or as we refer to it as Target. Um, and they have recently been carrying some F1
Mm.
merch, but honestly, it's, and some people might come for me for this, it's horrible. I went into Target and I was like, no, this was such a big opportunity for you guys, and you blew it. And this is like really horrible
Mm.
graphics, and even down
Yeah.
to the production of the garments. Like, oh, it was like, I didn't even buy it, which makes me sad because it was such a big opportunity. It's such a popular store. The brand in F1 like makes sense in that kind of aspect of Target being this like higher level department store, I guess you could call it. It's actually an addiction. There's like I'm there at least once a week. But yeah, we see a lot of brands just like trying to get in and not purposely
Yeah.
integrating themselves.
Yeah, I think it's we have to see on the following years, because right now obviously they are just as we said, taking up this space. I think the biggest thing and the right thing that we saw this year is the Lego activation. I think is the
Yes.
what I said. Yes, this is what
Mm-hmm.
brands should be doing. Of course, everyone with their look and feel and tone of voice, but this is the right playbook to conquer the space, because nowadays that is so crowded. The strategy will be, if you have different fashion brands or different sports brands out there. You just have to start differentiating how you communicate. So yeah, it's going to be fun, and I think Formula One has a lot to learn also from tennis, because I think even the NFL, I think they are more trying more things to just instead of just, as you said, putting logos or just putting the brand here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the women's NBA tunnel, I think, is a great example.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have to do a little bit of watching around other sports,
Yeah.
and then bring it in.
Yeah. The Lego, the Lego cars for the driver. I was like,
Yeah,
I was
I was
like,
laughing even when I remember about it. I was laughing for a week, like
yeah,
even remembering the activation.
yeah. And as like it created a viral moment, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, you just have to cross your fingers and hope and pray that'll happen. It's not guaranteed, but that moment and what
Mhm.
happened there will be remembered for
Yeah.
years and years and years, maybe in all of F1 history, possibly. Which as a brand, you can't ask for anything more. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, really awesome. I agree with you. Lego has hit it out of the park when it comes to their activation. They're also based here in Boston as well, so that's been yeah, and lots of other like New Balance is based here as well. And stuff like that. So seeing a
I have
lot of
to
some of
pay a
these
visit
brands.
then.
Yeah,
To see.
Reebok is here also. Converse is here also. So, yeah. But yeah,
Nice.
I agree with you. I mean, I know you said Lego has probably been the best brand that's done the best job so far at integrating and like making purposeful, rememberable kind of content. But if you had to pick another brand that's done a partnership with F1 in the recent years, which one would you think like in that number two slot right behind Lego? Or maybe there is somebody that's done it better.
I think lately a brand I have to say Tommy Hilfiger, because I think it's a brand that is trying, at least trying to understand what we were saying before, try error, try to see where their audience is up to
Mm-hmm.
now. Sponsoring Cadillac, maybe it's the good time that we will see good team merch, because if they don't do good team merch, I'm going to be so pissed. But I think that you can see how they are trying, and they are also, doing a good job on putting things out there that at least get fans speaking in a good way, because what they
Mhm.
did at the Met Gala was amazing. I remember I was watching the red carpet, yeah, looking at the looks, and at some time, the reveal happened, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
uh, so I think it's about that, about doing things that we fans are not expecting to see. Also, the duality of working with something fictional like the movie, but positioning themselves as a fashion brand inside the movie that could be applied also outside the movie.
Yep.
The work that they're doing with F1 Academy, also with Alba Larsen, which is
Mhm.
we share the name, so I'm happy that their Tommy Hilfiger. I think this is the right way to do things. Although not all the activation they do are brilliant, but
Mhm.
they are trying to be the first and get there, and try to position Tommy in a place in motorsports. To just be perceived as a female fashion brand that also has a
Yeah.
in Formula One, in F1 Academy. I think they are doing a great job.
Yeah. And in many ways, they've been ahead of the game when it comes to, I mean, obviously being partnered with Mercedes for so long, to do obviously their team kit and having Lewis Hamilton involved in their own fashion weeks and having him design some pieces.
Yeah.
They really have, as a fashion brand, been ahead of the game for years now. I think I agree with you that they're like trying to find where their best kind of their sweet spot is.
Yeah.
But yeah, they really have been ahead of the game when it comes to being part of Formula One in an intentional way. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was so excited I got to talk to you today. Like I finally found like somebody that has my passion for advertising and fashion and stuff
Same thing
and
for
brings
me.
it to Formula One.
Same thing.
But yeah, but can you tell everybody where they can find you on social media if they want to follow you?
I mean, you already said it at the beginning. My main space, let's say, here is Instagram at
Mhm.
It's Rouge, which is kind of reference to my favorite corner in Formula One in
Yeah.
Spa. There they will find, more a bit of a visual content, and then if they want to, deepen into my concept and what it goes through my mind, they can also find me on Substack. Also, if they want to search It's a Rouge, they will find me. The newsletter is called It's Been a Long Week because I put it out once a week.
Mhm.
And I am also trying to bring again back my podcast that I will be in Spanish, but since I have plenty of English and American fans around there that I want to, hear my content, I will try to, put subtitles or something.
Nice.
So yeah, I think Instagram is, the center. So if they go to Instagram, they will have my link tree and everything, so they will see all my, branches
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. Yeah, definitely check out her Instagram. I signed up for the newsletter as well, so sign up for that too. And thank you so much again, Alba, for coming on and taking some time out of your day to talk to us. It was
It
so
was my
much
pleasure.
fun. Yeah. And hopefully I'll be crossing my fingers for you for Carlos and his success at Williams. It's not looking too bleak, so that's
I mean,
positive.
this weekend is difficult. Yeah,
Well,
not only
just
with
forget.
Carlos, also Lando is not doing his best job. I mean, I
That's
will
true.
just keep
Yeah,
keep it cool.
yeah. Just don't, yeah, right now, Carlos, Lando, Ferrari. Yeah, maybe we need like an emotional support driver that you can switch
Yeah,
over to that'll be doing better than everyone else. But yeah,
exactly,
we
exactly.
love it. We love it. Well, thanks so much for coming on. And you guys, we will
Thank you,
see you
Brianna.
at the next episode. Bye-bye.
Hello, fly chick coming through. Nice to meet ya, glad you came too.